friends, not Link here. Am I the a-hole? Let's decide together. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay rent when I am living at my daughter's place for a month? My daughter, Kelly, is having her first baby. Sadly, the husband isn't able to get any time off to help with the baby being born. Kelly has expressed that it feels like she is a single mom since her husband will be traveling while she is on maternity leave. He will be home sometime, but for the most part, Kelly is on her own for the first month. She asked if I would be willing to help. I live 5 hours away, and I informed her I'll have to stay over, and traveling that much is a lot. She said I could stay for a month at the home and help out. I agreed. The baby is due in a few weeks. I was informed today that I will need to pay rent since I am living in the home for a month. I told her
I am not doing that.
I am already doing her a huge favor, and I am not paying money on top of it. This resulted in an argument. She thinks I'm being terrible for not helping with the bills, and I think she is being unreasonable. I have expressed that I will not be staying over now, and she is on her own. She thinks I'm being a petty jerk for this also. So not only does she want you to come over and help her out, she also wants you to pay to be there. Technically, she should be paying you. If we want to go down the payment route, she should be paying you for your assistance because, like, she's basically being a nanny. There's such thing as live-in nannies, and live-in nannies get paid to be there. They get paid because they're getting all of the work done. But instead, this daughter's like,
No, Mother, you need to come help me. You need to pay the rent. You need to do all of that.
your daughter is very entitled, and I'm very proud that you decided to say,
No, actually, I don't think I'm gonna come.
no, darling, you are not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her life is my biggest nightmare? Ooh, okay, this is gonna be good. I, 27F, have an older sister, Kara, 45F. We have a big age gap, but are still quite close, and she's basically like another parent for me. And we got much closer when my mom died when I was 14. Kara basically raised me and is very overprotective, but in the past, I have asked her to give me some space. Okay, fair enough, especially as an almost 30-year-old adult, some space is definitely needed. I have always been career focused and dated casually and nothing long term. Most of my friends are married and some with kids, so we are all at different stages of life. My one and only serious relationship beyond 2 months was with my ex-fiance, Ted. However, we broke up last year. I struggled to move on and only started recently casually dating. But I miss Ted, so I can't commit to anything. Kara helped me through the breakup, but she wanted me to get back together with Ted, as she really liked him and even suggested that I pass up the job for him. Okay, so I'm hoping we get a little bit more of an explanation, but did you and your fiance break up because of a job issue? You're very career focused and that wasn't lining up with what you and Ted were trying to do together? Kara really wants me to settle down like she has, and I just think we are too different in that. She is also a stay-at-home mom to 3 kids and basically raising a 4th as her husband doesn't lift a finger around the house and will kick up a fuss if the house is messy or if there's no food on the table. I don't like my brother-in-law at all, and I have encouraged Kara to discuss with him about getting him to help around the house. Kara called me again last night to encourage me about starting to date again, and that she set up a blind date for me. And honestly, I feel that's the only thing we've spoken about for the past few weeks. She said that she just wants me to be happy like she is, but then I told her that her life is my biggest nightmare. She got upset and said I was being too harsh. Whoa, I'm at 2 minds about this because I think you are very much entitled to your own space and your own whatever you want to do. If you don't want to date right now, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. If you don't want to go back to your ex-fiance, that's also okay. You're allowed to do that. But at the same time, your sister, although is clearly pressuring you, and I get it, that's not comfortable, she's just trying to help. And I feel like you turning around and saying, your life is my biggest nightmare, there's like a lot of other ways you could have said that. If life with kids and a husband is not your ideal, especially a husband that isn't really doing anything and is acting like the 4th kid, I get that. You don't have to be on the same page as her. You really don't. You can have your own life. You can live your best dream. You can do whatever you want. If you want to be career focused, that's fine. But I do think there are ways to go about conversations like this. And and telling her that living her life is a nightmare not only comes off as just very confrontational, it also comes off as very rude. To be honest, I was on your side the whole way through until you said that last statement. This is when you would go through like those I feel statements and instead would say something more like,
I feel frustrated when you try to get me to date because it doesn't allow me to live my own life.
or something along those lines, so that it's not confrontational and saying like,
Your life is awful. I don't want to live like you. I want to live the way I want to live.
but instead you're turning it around and saying,
I just don't think this is how I want to proceed, and I hope that you can respect that.
so are you the a-hole for wanting to live your own life? No. But are you the a-hole for telling your sister her life is your biggest nightmare? Yeah. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think they're the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she knows she was a bad mother and created a do-over family when she even said having her younger kids was her chance to do things right? My sister had her daughter, Aisha, when she was 25. Aisha is now 21 and has nothing to do with my sister. My sister was never really a good mom. Not when Aisha's dad was alive, not when she became a young widow, and not when she decided to focus on herself after losing her husband. Aisha did not have an easy time with my sister, and while my sister went through a lot as well, she was stable in her job, she had a support from her friends and family, she had a house, she had a number of resources at her fingertips, but she still chose to be a checked out mother who really didn't care about her child. Aisha spent most of her time with her paternal uncle because of the connection to her dad and their shared grief. He was amazing at supporting her and stepped up where my sister failed. But Aisha still saw me and my parents a lot, and I was the person she went to for more motherly things. She knew it was a waste of time asking my sister, so she found ways around everything, where my sister's advice or guidance wasn't needed. But it wasn't easy on her. She used to say how embarrassed she was at school when everyone was talking about their parents and she couldn't talk about hers because her mother never made time for her, never said nice things to her, etc. She didn't even know how old her mom was or what she did for the longest time because my sister was so absent and never shared. She asked my parents one time at their house because she needed an answer for homework and was called lazy by teachers previous years for not answering. Your teachers called you lazy? Are you kidding me? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a failed teaching moment right there. Completely failed. Aisha cared less over time and focused more on life without my sister, and by the time she was 18, Aisha had a solid plan and moved out. It was also by that time my sister was remarried and expecting a child with her current husband. My sister's husband appeared to have this belief that Aisha would be engaged in the life of their child, and he was super shocked when he realized Aisha was leaving and wasn't staying in touch. But he knew who he married, and he knew how bad of a mom my sister was. My sister even said their first child together and their second were her chance to do things right. She has frequently said this. No. I'm sorry. You had your chance to do things right the first time, and instead of like having a do-over, why don't you try and work on fixing what's broken? And I know it's never going to be perfect because that is such a difficult relationship to mend, but you've got to try. It seems like Aisha wanted to be in her mother's life. She wanted to know more about her, whether it be for school or for other things, but the fact that the mother was just so absent makes it so difficult. So now it's just like, don't do it over. Don't restart. Try and mend what's already broken. And of course, you're allowed to have other kids. Like, I'm not saying you can't do both, but do both. Don't completely give up on your daughter. I'm so sad. Which is why I brought this up last week when my sister had complained that Aisha has not met the kids and blocked her after calling her husband and kids my sister's do-over family. My sister took huge offense to that, and she claimed Aisha was lacking in sympathy for how hard it was to be a young widowed mom. Imagine how hard it is to be like a young orphaned child. And I know technically she's not an orphan, but she certainly felt like it because her mom wasn't in the picture. You can't use that as an excuse, I'm sorry. I told her she knows she was a bad mother. She knows this is her do-over because she even said the kids were her chance to do things right. Not to do things better, but right. just what I said. Just what I said. And that her words show she knows that she was no mother to Aisha, despite many people trying to help in the past years, me included. My sister told me I had no right to judge her, and she told me to stay out of her life. Am I the a-hole? There are thousands of ways that you can say things, that you can try and like soften the blow and make sure that you're communicating your feelings and your thoughts effectively without being rude. In this case, do I think you are rude? I think there's better ways, but I don't think you were the a-hole. No. I think you told your sister very plainly that if she wanted to be a mother, she should have done that the first time, and she shouldn't expect her daughter to feel like she's a mother and to meet all of her kids and try and like reconnect if she had no interest in doing that until she had new kids. Your daughter can't lack sympathy for you being a widowed mother if you were never acting like a mother to begin with. How can she sympathize with a mother that she doesn't have? Especially for what, 18 years of her life? You can only claim to be upset for a certain amount of time. I mean, no, that's you, okay. You can be upset for as long as you want. That's fine. But you cannot put off your responsibilities and say, oh, she should be sympathetic for 18 years of negligence. It would be different if it was a month, 2 months, maybe 6, maybe a year, especially if you tried to do better and you tried to be more present in her life, but she didn't. She didn't care about anything until she had kids with her new partner. So no, OP is not the a-hole. Could have worded things better, but let's be honest, there's so many things in this world that you could say worded better, like the sentence I just spoke, and that one, you know what, you get the point. I think we have time for one more. Am I the a-hole for calling my wife irresponsible and possibly being overprotective of my daughter? I, 37M, live with my wife, Jen, 37F. And our 2 kids, 13F and 7F. Last weekend, my wife went out for the day with our oldest daughter, who for this story I will call Emily, while I stayed home with our youngest. 3 hours after they left, I got a call from Emily. She was very upset on the phone and was crying. She explained that they went into a clothing store together, they split up to look at different sections, and now Jen is nowhere to be found, and her phone is going to voicemail. She had asked an employee to make a speaker announcement, and no one has come forward, and Jen has been gone for around an hour. An hour? Oh my gosh, and your daughter's 13? I told Emily not to panic, I will come straight down. When I got there, Jen was still gone, and I couldn't see her car in the parking lot. We searched for Jen in the stores that are next door in case she went in one of them, and I also tried to call her. Her car wasn't even in the parking. What? Around 40 minutes later, Jen calls me and says she is on her way back to the clothing store. I asked where she had been, and she said she drove to another nearby store that she wanted to go to. I asked why she didn't bring Emily or at least tell her that she was leaving, and she said because she did not expect to take a long time or for Emily to even notice that she was gone. Emily has been distraught and avoiding Jen. She is still very upset, as she should be. Her mother just ditched. Wow. I can understand going to a different store or going to a different section, letting your daughter know. I mean, your daughter's 13 years old. It of course depends where you are and how comfortable and responsible you feel your daughter is with leaving her alone. But to leave her without notice and to not answer any phone calls to let her know? Oh, wow, I can see why your daughter was upset. And at this point, you've left her for what, an hour and 40 minutes at least? Yikes. When we got home, Jen and I had an argument as I said that she was very irresponsible for going away and leaving Emily in the store without telling her. Jen says that I just want to treat Emily like a baby and that she is old enough to be on her own in a store, which is true. That's what I said, but you've got to give her notice. I asked Jen why she did not answer her phone, and she says she accidentally put it on Do Not Disturb. Jen is angry that I called her irresponsible and says that what she did is nowhere close to being an irresponsible parent. I know I can be overprotective of my kids, but we do live in a high crime area, and it makes me very angry that Emily was left feeling scared. Am I the a-hole? This is what I was saying. What did I say 2 seconds ago? That it depends where you are? And you're in a high crime area and you just left your daughter. I can understand not having your phone on, or if you accidentally put it on Do Not Disturb, but if you're going to leave, if you've got a phone on you, text your daughter. Or go find her in the store and just say,
Hey, I'm going this way. I think you'll be okay. Is that okay with you? Are you comfortable? How do you feel?
just like communicate. So are you the a-hole for calling her irresponsible? Again, probably could have figured out a different word, but no, you're not. So what have we learned today? We have learned that a lot of people need to communicate with their family. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.